Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program. This is Sunday Politics live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbale in Abuja. Although Nigeria practices a multi-party democracy, but in the past few years, it has looked much like the nation is practicing two-party system with a ruling party and one main opposition party, essentially leaving the nation to two major options at national elections. Exceptions are a few regional parties who are holding sway in some states of the Federation. As we approach the 2023 general elections, there are talks about the coming together of different interest groups and political actors who are already talking about a third force. Some eminent Nigerians have met in Lagos today, strategizing ahead of the 2023 election with the aim of providing an alternative to the traditional APC and the PDP. Tonight, we shall be engaging one of the leaders of that movement and what they have up their sleeves. I'm being joined by a foremost political economist, Professor Pat Utomi. He joins us from Lagos. Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us tonight. And let me wish you a happy birthday.
It's a great
I see that you and some of your friends, thank you so much, Prof. I see that you and some of your friends are up to something with the idea of the third force. What is this really about?
Well, Shehu, to be very frank with you, I particularly do not like the name third force. What I like to think of is an alternative platform to give Nigerians real government. If you candidly look at Nigerian history, where we are, one thing is clear: our country has suffered great retrogression because of the failure of our political party system. I know this because I've been at the heart of the founding of a couple of the political parties. And some of the things that we have tried to put in place: transparent, accountable political processes, clear, thoughtful, strategies about how to make life better for every Nigerian. But it seems that the traditional crowd that hang around politics in Nigeria just want state capture. They just want power. They want machine politics to use to capture power. And they don't think clearly about what to do with it. If you look at where our country stands on every measure of performance, it's at the bottom. Every measure, think of it, around the world. With the kind of talent we have, that's not acceptable. So we begin to think there's need to reassess, to ask ourselves, how can we get out of this pit that we seem to have somehow dug for ourselves? And one clear way to do is to have another party. Look, the so-called major parties that exist presently are two sides of the same coin. So let's call that one party. It is meant for personal wranglings. If you are tired of what you've been given in this group, you move to the other group. If they don't treat you well personally, not about Nigeria, not about the future of the youth of Nigeria, not about anything, you go to the other side to see if you can get something more. I think Nigerians have had enough of that. So let's call them one party. That's why I don't like third force. Then we need another real political movement driven by ideas. And so the conversation has been how to bring together a number of people to found what I call the coalition of the willing and the dispossessed. What do we mean by willing and dispossessed? Willing on the one hand, because there are people who are willing to make the sacrifice to build a country. You take some of those people, and then you take people who have been dispossessed. Why dispossessed? One of the things that happened with state capture in Nigeria is that those who have captured the Nigerian state basically try to exclude groups of Nigerians. For example, they exclude women. I mean, if you look at the number of women active in political life, in appointing positions, whether it's in the National Assembly or in cabinets, compare with Rwanda, compare with many small African countries, you will see that there is a deliberate mindset on the part of those who run Nigeria today to exclude women. There's no question about that. How does a country make progress by excluding half of its population. It can't compete against those who use all of its population. You will see that there is a deliberate attempt to not only look down on young people, which is a tragedy for a country where the median age is about 18 years or something, to look down on young people, call them lazy and all kinds of things, when they can constitute the demographic dividend, when there should at least be a third of the cabinet, people under 40. I mean, people like us got into these kinds of positions at 27. The young people of today are brighter than I was at 27. So why are we excluding the young people of this country? It's not a matter of the future belongs to them. Now belongs to them. They are smarter than we were when we were their age. They are more exposed to the world. Technology gives them an advantage. But they capture politics of people who are driven by me, myself, and I, excludes them, talks down on them. When they try to organize to say, look, there are things wrong in our country, and let's march, end SARS, they crush it with brutality. So this is a dispossessed part of our population. The professional group who just survive as the so-called complicit middle, like I call them, they're there, agitated, complaining only in their bedrooms. Then the intelligentsia. I remind people that when I was leaving the university in this country, Nigeria's output per person was twice that of China. And then China got a leadership that began to understand better what makes for progress. And the first emphasis of that leadership under Deng Xiaoping was intellect. Go and read all the speeches that Deng made in 1978. It was about intellect and how China must turn to people of intellect to set its future course. So what do we see? One generation, 30 years later, China's output per person is 30 times that of Nigeria. It shows that there's something to say for intellect. But the current politicians in Nigeria manage to despise intellect. They disregard professionals. They have contempt for youth. And they have absolute disregard for women. And so a coalition of these groups, powered by a new thinking, by religious leaders, Christian, Muslim, that this is a leadership of disaffection that has brought us to this insecurity that we have in our country. This is a leadership of exclusion, and that the country needs inclusion. And some of those religious leaders are saying we want a new kind of people leading Nigeria. We're building a coalition of all of these.
Okay, so
Labour,
Prof,
at the meeting today, Labour made a strong statement. The president of NLC gave a powerful speech to the Lupeng president. Anyway, let me let you come in.
Okay, so I want to, before we get deeper into what you and your friends and the group, what you have in store, let me ask a more direct question now. This group that you're putting together, you say you don't like it to be called a third force, but what is the ultimate plan? What is the ultimate agenda? Is it to form a political party?
It is the
that will
alternative.
run for an election
third force is a usage.
in 2023?
Oh, there are these two juggernauts, and there's a third one coming. They are not two juggernauts. There's one group of people. They call themselves different names. Now we want to create another group which is more authentic, more focused on the people. This is the group that we are putting together.
So, interestingly, who are those who are apart from yourself, who are the other Nigerians that are in this alternative group that you're talking about?
It's an amazing array of Nigerians. It includes leaders. By the way, for the first time, civil society is ready to be inside of the arena. They play as civil society in the past, but civil society is coming. Think of all the major leaders of civil society, whether it's Femi Falana, Obi Ezekwesili, they're all part of this arrangement. Labour, like I told you, the NLC president was represented by one of his vice presidents. He wanted to be there personally, and he read his written speech in which they made full and total commitment, and they will bring the labor movement into what we are founding. People like Dr. Usman Bugaji were there, on the Senator Dan Sadao were there. Former Governor Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso was there today. I mean, on and on. Think of the true leaders of the Nigerian people who connect to the people. They were there, and they were fully committed for this process to
okay, so I'd like to follow up on that. So you've described, and I would like to put you right on the spot. It does look like you have condemned the APC and the PDP, which are the major political parties, which you say, oh,
there's nothing to condemn.
A third force to them.
Yeah.
So the question, Prof,
there's nothing to condemn. They condemn themselves.
If you look, how have they condemned themselves, Prof?
Look, have you seen a video going around, some, I think, reverend gentleman talking about the arrogance of failure? This is the ultimate failure. Just ask your question that's asked in politics. Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? Are you, Shehu, better off than you were 4 years ago? Tell me, answer the question. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? This has been systematic retrogression for our country. And you say people are condemning? No, people are not condemning. They're just saying on a basis of accountability, this is complete failure. But we have a strange situation where the failed are arrogant. The failure of arrogance, or the arrogance of failure. It is, I don't know what language to use to describe this kind of arrogance of failure. If we had democracy, they would have been kicked out a long time ago. But because Nigeria's democracy does not quite work, and you see that happening in Africa, all this rush of coups in West Africa is because politicians who should have gone are using all kinds of methods and means of state capture to prevent themselves from doing the needful, which is get out of the way. And so soldiers are getting angry and coming to get them out of the place. We don't want that. We don't need that in Nigeria. So we want to consolidate a democratic process of getting them out of the way so that we can govern in the interest of the Nigerian people. We have suffered far too much. The youth of this country, which should be propelling us forward, have been so reduced that they have nothing else to do than to become cannon fodder for all kinds of agitators. And that's why insecurity is everywhere.
So let me come in again here.
This kind of
you've described how the present political game has looked, especially what we've seen in the past few years. PDP and APC, from your description, they're just one and the same, with just different appellation. I mean,
Absolutely.
based on what you have said tonight. But if you look at some of the names that you have mentioned also, they're either from the APC or from the PDP. You being a member of, I mean, you are a member of the APC, except if there is a difference from in the last few hours or weeks. So the question Nigerians will be asking is, we are obviously not seeing any person that is new. These are members. You've mentioned Dr. Obi Ezekwesili was a member of the PDP, served in the Obasanjo cabinet.
Okay.
So majorly, we have seen people who have also been in politics that are coming together to say they want to form this alternative. So what is now different?
Yeah. Okay. You know, Shehu, tomorrow the Center for Values in Leadership hosts the 19th in a series of its annual lecture symposium series. Now, one of the speakers, I don't remember what year, like 10, 12 or more years ago, was a certain Nigerian, a very dear friend of mine, who was Under Secretary General of the United Nations at the time, Professor Ibrahim Gambari. When he spoke at that symposium, he was very, very critical of the way Nigeria was governed, functioned. And somebody asked him a similar question from the audience. He said, you, Professor Gambari, you were a minister in the government. How are you criticizing? And Professor Gambari said, look, let me tell you, there is a difference between being in government and being in power. There are many times when you are in government but not in power. And if you are not careful, they will use you to make a mess of history. We generally, at the core of this movement, have generally not been either in government or in power. But those who have been in government and in power have often been those that were marginalized because of a distrust of intellect or a fear of integrity. And so government increasingly became an agglomeration of, let's face it, people who in most countries would be in prison. I heard somebody describe a government as a criminal enterprise in Nigeria. I was shocked, but it was on, a government television channel. But that is the truth, actually. So many of the honest people, capable people, who were somehow incorporated, in political science, you talk about the cooperative state in post-colonial Africa, where people are sometimes just brought in so that they can be rubbished. Many of them were brought in and very sadly had to live through being brought into government without being able to influence things. I mean, I can talk forthrightly about a major conversation I had with late President Yar'Adua. I recently reminded Engineer Eze about that the day I came in at the invitation of President Yar'Adua to see him, and he, Steve Oronsai, Remi Babalola, and who were coming out of a meeting with the president. And President Yar'Adua, I said, look, he wanted plenty of time for us to chat. Let's go to the residence. And we went to the residence and we talked for hours. And when President Yar'Adua said, so why don't you come in and do what you are saying we should do? I said to him, look, the cooperative state in post-colonial Africa many times involves bringing in people who you think you need to keep quiet. That if I were to do such a thing, I would need guarantees that first and foremost, but first of all, I said, I'm a patriot. I don't have to have a title. I don't need to be in government to make a difference. You can call me at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., I will give you my best view. He said, no, you can make a greater difference inside of government. I said, but the cooperative state can make you get brought in and squelched, and your value is lost. But that if he was determined to make a difference, he should get 7 good people. Allow the other characters to go and make money as minister of this and that, minister of transport and all those places where they award contracts. Allow these core 7 people have his true backing and really drive the country towards the direction it should go. And President Yar'Adua said to me, well, okay, why don't you go and bring me those 7 names and you join them as the 8th person, and I will give you all the assurances. Well, it's a long story about how that panned out, because I said I needed to go away, write these names down, and send it to you. Well, the general speculation is that he never got the list I sent to him. And unfortunately, he went, he took ill, and then eventually passed on. So, it is critical that we deal with a commitment to changing things, which is not what the arrangements we see are. They are just arrangements for power. Because if they were not for just use of power, why would Nigeria be where it is? It is so obvious. Look at where Nigeria was relative to South Korea. Look at where Nigeria was relative to many other countries. Look at where Nigeria is. If there is a clear goal and people
Prof,
who knew what they were doing were committed, Nigeria won't be where it is. So the report card is very clear. If the Nigerian people
Prof, let me ask you,
they want to
Prof,
be pulled out of where they are, they must have to turn to a new direction.
When are we likely?
And because
when are we likely to see these?
There are 2 sides of the same coin.
So sorry, can you get me? Apologies
That's what we're
to
trying
cut
to do.
in.
That's why I don't like the third force usage. It is the real other force committed to true progress compared to those who are committed to power and use of power for their personal aggrandizement, this narcissism, this self-love that has eaten into Nigerian politics that we must save ourselves from.
Prof, I don't know if you can hear me. I'd like to cut in quickly and ask you to pick up on what you've said.
And
my question really
worse and worse for it.
When are
because
we
it's not
likely
true
to see
and what you
this
do
idea
diminishes
culminate into a
Except people
political party? Because
change.
that
That
is
must be a
the
commitment.
only way by which you can bring to the fore, or you can bring to reality. Okay, apologies. I think for some reasons we've lost the connection with Prof. I know that he's unable to get me, but Professor Patu Tommy and some of his friends are forming a group. Some eminent Nigerians are coming together, and their main agenda is to, in 2023, present a front that will be an alternative to the main political parties that we have in Nigeria. And we've been having this conversation as to what the plan and the agenda of these group of persons are and what their ultimate goal is. Whether or not they're ready for 2023 or is for an election that is for the future. But we'll take a break. And when we return, we hear more from Professor Pat Utomi and on the idea of the third force. He doesn't like to be called third force. He says the alternative to what we have on the ground. We'll return with more from Professor Pat Utomi. Join us again, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us right here on the program. Professor Pat Utomi is a political economist and one of those Nigerians who are coming together. They had a meeting today, and the agenda is to form an alternative to the major political parties that we have in Nigeria. We appear to have to lose connection with him earlier, but I understand that we are back with him. Prof, if you can hear me, what I wanted to get out of you earlier, before that glitch, was whether or not you're planning to have these culminate into a proper political party before 2023, because I'm not sure time is on your side right now.
No, time is fully on our side. And that's why I think that the people who create these things, fully on our side. We have set up a huge committee that includes, with me as chair, includes Dr. Usman Bugaje, Mr. Femi Falano, Kingsley Moralo, and on, to finalize the fusion, what is called the fusion process. A couple of political parties have volunteered and surrendered their parties as platforms. A few of them will fuse together and will use one as the base. So there's an existing registered party from these several parties that have declared a willingness to surrender their party license to this cause. Then we bring the various movements like the Rescue Nigeria project and NCF and all of those, and then civil society broadly. And as I said, the NLC made one of the most powerful statements there today about their total commitment to this process. So we're mobilizing labor massively. But more importantly, we are hitting at the base of Nigeria, the young of Nigeria, the youth of Nigeria. We've got a young lecturer in Kano, Nasser Sidi Ali, who is part of the core of the new secretariat of this movement, and he's focused on university students. Look, if we just get a quarter of university students who have been brutalized by this system, who have been left uncared for, we just get a quarter of them to register and a small portion of those to vote, Nigeria will be flying. We would have gotten rid of this political order. So we have it worked out.
Let me again.
And believe
so
me,
it does look like
effect.
You have all of this properly mapped out. So let me ask again on this note to find out how then do you hope to decide on who will be the candidate of this alternative platform that you are putting together?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Are you the one? Are you the man that is going to be on the ballot?
Well, I thank you because it's a very important point to raise. You know, we've been obsessed with this man, this one man, this hero, this messiah. One of the core things about the group we are building is collective responsibility. we are going to be working as a collective. At the right time, anyone, and we have agreed amongst us, anyone that they say, look, my friend, you should just go for us on this thing. Everybody else stays in the groups, backs that person. And it is not just about presidency, because Nigeria is obsessed with presidency, whereas what Nigeria should be doing is preventing the presidency from getting in their way. What is even more important in this country is making sure that the governors are not the tyrants that they currently are, and getting people who want to lead, who can lead, to be governors and local government chairmen. One of the parties, Senator Dan Sadao made a brilliant presentation at the event today. The parties, former Supreme Court judges, will be local government chairmen, former permanent secretaries, and those kinds of people. We want to build from the bottom up. Let's give the people at the grassroots real government. So the president can be anybody, but importantly, the leadership will be collective, and at any point in time, the group
willing
can say,
to take
okay,
up that challenge,
my friend.
Would you be willing to take up? I said, would you be willing to take up the role?
Which challenge?
If it comes to that time of being the presidential candidate of the alternative?
I will take up any role. I can be local government chairman. I'll be very happy at that. I can be president. I have no problem with that. I can be anything that serves the people. I mean, look at where my story started.
Another issue here, Prof, is that another very important thing that I'd like to raise with you, Prof, is the timing of political activities, what it needs to galvanize, because all politics is local. At the end of the day, people have to go down to the political unit, to the polling unit, down to the ward, then to the local government, state, before national elections and all of that. So politics are local predominantly. But the question is whether or not you are coming out early enough, because primaries are going to be conducted in a matter of a few weeks, and people then will decide on
let me ask
what they
you
want
a few
to
questions.
Are you, just a moment, Prof, how much of a threat is this alternative group to the APC and the PDP?
It is not a threat, it is a dismissal of them for a new order, not a matter of threatening. The truth of the matter, you are the man on top of it. Give me some numbers. How many people voted for my friend Chukwuma Soludo to become governor of Anambra State? How many people? 100 and something thousand people? How many people voted for Jide Sanwo-Olu to become governor in Lagos? What? Maybe 400 and something thousand people? If we just got the students in Nigerian universities to go out tomorrow and we can mobilize them within 24 hours, there will be more people than voted for all these people who are currently governors. Why is it a difficult thing to do? In 48 hours, we can dismiss this political class. 48 hours. We don't need 1 year of... It's because they depend on bribing people, buying their votes, doctoring votes, and in the end, only a couple of 100,000 votes. But the oppressed of this country, who are so many, all you need is give them the message. And because they are in groups we can put together, by the time we hit the Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria and say, you professionals, you got to get in line with how to build a nation. By the time we hit, like I mentioned, the students, hit university lecturers, hit this, we will bring out 20 times as many votes as have ever voted in Nigeria. So
we need to close on this segment.
In
so
the UK, in many countries in the world, is a couple of weeks phenomenon.
Yeah, in 30 seconds or less, if you may, Prof, because we need to wrap up now. I'd like to ask you, what is the fundamental objective or agenda of this group in looking at all the myriads of problems confronted, this nation is confronted with? But we can't attack all these problems at once. But there must be one major agenda or major challenge that this group hopes to solve. And what would that be, Prof?
That would be job creation, job creation, job creation in a rapid growth economy. China doubled economic growth in less than a decade. We can do even much better than that. I mean, it took, what, The United Kingdom, how many decades or a century to do that? It took Japan maybe half a century to do that. China did it in less than half of a generation. Nigeria can do it in 8 serious years if we have leadership. We can double output in this country, create jobs massively. But you've got to have politicians who are sleeping and waking up service to the people, not thinking of private jets. Look, Shehu, you and I know this economy is in total crisis. Check the behavior of any politician that you know. Senators, president, governors. How many of them have you seen their behavior change? Their motorcades are getting bigger. Their consumption of public resources is getting outrageous. Even when we can't pay bills, the country is literally bankrupt. It cannot pay salaries if something special, if it doesn't borrow excessively. And yet, the politicians are living as if nothing has happened. By the time you get rid of, let me, Prof, one final word. If you got rid of their behavior, I can take that money and say to every graduate in this country, we will pay you 75,000 naira every month and put you to productive work, just cleaning up the environment, doing things that are important to make life work. But every month from the day you graduate, you will get 75,000 naira. And we will get a new Lula da Silva kind of Brazil up and running.
It sounds so interesting. And for me here, I'm looking forward to how this pans out, because the more competition we have in the political space, I think the better for it for the average citizen who will perhaps go on the election day to vote. We probably will have to see you back on the program to tell us more on this agenda as it unfolds. Thank you so much, Professor Pat Utomi. I'll allow you to go and enjoy your birthday because I've dragged you out on the day that you're supposed to be dining with your family and friends. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
I'm happy to do this. Nigeria will rise up again.
We'll take a break, everyone. And when we return, APC National Youth Leader Ismail Ahmed joins me. The APC youth staged a massive rally in Ibadan, your state. Yesterday, they're seeking a prominent place in the party and in the politics of Nigeria. Well, the burden of retaining power is now more than ever a daunting task for the ruling APC. To find out from the national youth leader of the party how they hope to go forward from here. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. The youths of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC stormed the ancient city of Ibadan in Oyo State yesterday. They say it is a sensitization of the intentions to play more prominent roles in the affairs of their party and in the nation. Well, the APC is faced with enormous internal pressure and intense external pressure too. Pressure of how to organize itself to conduct a national convention, manage the diversity, and also pacify aggrieved members, and going into deciding who becomes the party's candidate when they go for the primaries for the 2023 presidential election. A task that will test the ability of the party to persevere in the face of adversity and how long it could last within the political scheme of things. Tonight, I have the national youth leader of the APC, a lawyer who was appointed as a senior special assistant to the president on National Social Investments Program in 2017, an appointment that was renewed in 2019. He currently serves as a member of the APC Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Committee, headed by Governor of Yobe State, Mai Mala Buni. Ismail Ahmed joins me now here in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Ismail, for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
What was that about?
Why are you showing several pictures of me?
We're trying to introduce our guests. That's part of what we do.
I like that.
So, thank you. What was that about in Ibadan? Is a show of force of some sort? Because I'd like you to react to some of the things Prof said. It's not, they don't want to dislodge you and the APC, PDP. They want to take you out totally. Because according to Prof, there's been a failure of the political class.
Of which he belongs to. Of which all the people that he mentioned, unfortunately, belong to. I've heard him talk about, I've heard people talk about use youth as a political punchline whenever the need arises. We don't want anybody speaking for us. We can speak for ourselves. You saw it in Ibadan yesterday. It was done for young people, by young people, and strictly funded by young people. Strictly funded by young people, strictly attended by young people, strictly managed and converted by young people. That is a presidential rally style and standard. No political party in this country since 1999 was able to do that strictly by its young people. The APC did it. We did it in Ibadan yesterday.
So it was a show of force of some sort for your party? Oh
no, my party and the country knows that young people are a force to be reckoned with. There's no doubt about that. We are the larger demography when it comes to percentage of people who vote. We are the larger percentage of the country and the entire population of the country. So the force of young people is not in doubt. If it is in somebody else's, if it is in doubt, if somebody is doubting it, then he's doing it at his own peril. But I have listened to Prof. These are respected individuals that we respect. But please, enough of all this. We are trying to do this for young people. We can do some of these things for ourselves.
You don't think that the young people and the women, these are the demographies that Prof has mentioned tonight, that
they are using them as punchlines. How many young people attended the meeting that they held in Lagos? Really, you should have asked them that. How many young people were in attendance? Because you are trying to chart a future, and without the people who are going to be living in that future for all.
I'm not sure he said that idea was about young people.
No, but he said that
reach out to the young people.
No, he said that it's about young people. The youths are being called lazy. It's the same punchlines that all these people use.
And you don't think that is important?
No, what I'm saying is that young people now have come of age. Young people and women are going to speak for themselves. We have chosen a path. We have chosen a political party. We are going to fight within our political party to get what we want. We're not going to start jumping around at every election eve to start saying that they are going to create an alternative. This is for young people. This is for this. There's nothing wrong with that. Trying to reach out to the largest demography that delivers votes. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But we've heard that so many times that, just package what you want to package. Go ahead and do retail politics like everybody else is doing it, not boardroom politics. And let's get it done. You saw what we did. Look at the pictures. Look at the images that are coming out. That's retail politics. That's grassroots. That's people learning. APC is a mobilization force that everyone in the party from top to bottom is taught how to mobilize from the grassroots. We don't do boardroom politics and sit down and just assume we can just use platitudes and placate people and just tell them that there's a demography that we are going to speak for ourselves. We don't want anybody speaking for us.
How do you defend what Prof said today about the performance of your party, for example? It's been described as a failure.
I think Prof mentioned the failure of the political order in its entirety. To be fair to him, he did not.
And he also said that he was alive better now than 5 years ago.
Well, I think that's the same question you can ask 10 years ago, whether your life was better 10 years earlier than it was 10 years ago.
But can we ask the same question now that your party is in power and the last 7 years, are the lives of Nigerians better?
I think if you ask a farmer in Kebbi or in Lagos or in Ondo, a farmer who now farms rice and gets more money because, of course, because there are more off-takers as a result of not getting Chinese rice or Taiwanese rice, I think he'll tell you that his life is better. If you ask somebody from Maiduguri who can't go to mosque every Friday 5-10 years ago, who can't go to church on Sunday, or if you ask somebody in Damaturu, or if you ask somebody in Adamawa or Bauchi or Gombe, or even some parts of Kano,
these are some of the areas where banditry has taken stronghold.
No. Banditry has not taken...
Gombe. Niger.
Banditry has
Kaduna.
Not, I didn't mention Niger. You mentioned it.
Now I'm mentioning Niger, Kaduna.
Now, hold on. Let me finish. If you ask them if they could go to mosque 10, 11 years ago, or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, they would tell you they go with certain level of trepidation. So, I'm not saying that it is time for us to hold our hands high and sing kumbaya that we have achieved all we have set out to achieve. Not the president, not me, not anyone would say that we are absolutely satisfied with where we are as a country. But the resources that we have found when we came here, the constraints that we have gone through, the global pandemic that has hit every country in the world, and among all these crises, both economic, social, and security-wise, we have been able to trudge on and take on one of the most fundamental infrastructure development plan in recorded history. Governor Fashola was in Kano a week ago, 2 weeks ago, to talk to Kano, different sectors of Kano young people about infrastructure. And he asked a question in the beginning of the presentation. He said, when can anyone remember in his part of the country when a federal government launched and commissioned a completed 50-kilometer road done by federal government? If anyone knows it, he should raise his hand. And these are not party members only. These are civil society people. These are journalists. These are students. He said anyone should give him an answer. Then he reduced it to 20 and to 10. The first answer came, Babangida's regime. He said, yes, before 1999. That was when it happened. But he gave a date in 2021 where hundreds of kilometers was commissioned by this administration. Now, this hypocrisy of silence, that what we do and all the achievements that we get through infrastructure and wonderful things we're doing with transportation, and all the changes and structural reform that this government is bringing is being silenced, by so many people, in some cases even the beneficiaries, so to speak, just so that they amplify, the things that are going awry. There's no doubt about it that we have issues with security, especially in the northwest, down all to the north central, that came as a result of a cattle rustling that was in existence way before we came into office. Yes, there's no doubt about it, and government is doing all it can. And then the most effective way to deal with the situation, the president has said it so many times, is to get local administration effectively working at the local level so that they can be able to stem this tide, because most of this is coming from the local council and the hinterlands. So we have all this going on, but nobody wants to talk about it because people want to hammer on the things that we are doing wrong. I like the fact that Professor Tomi said that he was in office at the age of 27. I thought you would ask him that, okay, so what have you set in motion at that age to be able to, to change things at that age, or whatever it is that you're doing where you are? So it's okay, it's easy for people to just come together and criticize. Criticism is one of the easiest things.
Because when your party was taking power, you'd surely realize that there will be criticism, and the promises.
And I'm not shying away from it. Yeah, so it's okay. I'm one of the people. I criticize my own government myself.
The question all the time. You're faced with another election. Yes. Your party is trying to organize itself. The youth are speaking. Mm-hmm. Is the leadership of the party listening to the youth?
Yes, absolutely. What other party can do what they did what we did in Ibadan yesterday? Tell me any other party. You've been around for quite a while, since 1999. Can you remember any other political party, especially the one in office, that the young people have the opportunity, the right, and the latitude to do what we did in Ibadan yesterday? Or that we take ministers around the country to explain?
So what is the end goal of this idea?
There is an agenda we want to set out and take it to the party leaders and show them that this agenda is not just coming from few young elites within the political circle, but this is people where we're getting it from the grassroots. So these are asks that we're getting and we're presenting them. And we have access to everyone.
So what are the feelers you're getting from when you went? I'm very sure that people would have told you whether they're happy with your party or not.
No, I think a lot of people are, I wouldn't say they are happy. Of course, once people see people that, are in any positions of privilege or some sort of, of access, they complain to you about it. It's okay. It's normal. We sit down, we look at all the things that we are doing right and all the things that mistakes we've made. We try to say, okay, these are mistakes we've made. Can we get answers somewhere? And we talk to some of our leaders. In some cases, we get answers. In some cases, we tell them that, hey, this is not working. Go and fix it. And they try to do that all the time. So it is a constant engagement. Government is a process. It's not an event. It's not a one thing that fits. It's not a one size fit all. And there's no utopian idea that one person has.
Do you fear a scenario where your party might be rejected at the poll in 2023?
Every politician worth his salt lives with the mindset that power could easily slip away from him or her just as much as it got to him or her. So it would be asinine for me to sit down here and tell you that, I have absolutely nothing to worry about come 2023. No, I'm not going to do that. If I am not worried, I wouldn't be doing the work I'm doing right now. But
your party is under intense pressure.
No, I think any party in government that is facing transitional election especially would be under pressure. Even if you're not, I think it is better for you to assume that you are so that you could work doubly as hard to be able to get what you want.
I'd like us to wrap up on this note. You're a member of the caretaker committee and you guys are planning for the convention on the 26th of February.
Yes.
There are forces in the party that are saying, no, it should not happen. In fact, there are some who are saying,
that is
scrap it,
please,
and go ahead.
Please, let me save your breath. There will be convention on the 26th, simplicity. That is sacrosanct. Forget about anything else anybody is telling you. There will be convention on the 26th of February.
What about the unresolved issues? What about the unresolved issues in the
There
states?
will never be resolved issue finito in any human organization, especially human organization that is primarily built and driven by interest like a political party. A process of reconciliation and resolving issues is a process that is going to continue as long as the political party remains alive and in existence. It is never going to end. What we can manage to be able to get us to convention, what we can manage to be able to get us to primaries, what we can manage to be able to get us to general election, we'll keep managing us at when due, and we are managing them very well. There will be convention. Forget about what anybody else. I'm telling you this authority.
20 seconds for this. Is your party thinking of consensus for the position?
Consensus is always an option. Of course.
Are you guys thinking about it?
Of course, consensus should be an option for any right-thinking person.
Is it a paramount option or just one of the options?
No. What do you mean a paramount option?
The risk of going into an election at the convention ground.
Let me tell you something. For somebody like me, I love competition. So I would love to see a contest, But the party leadership and the party and the body of the party looks at all the consensus. Look, you know what consensus means? It means everybody has agreed. It doesn't mean that some few people sit down and say that they have agreed, right? So if it is a consensus, which means everybody has agreed. So which means even if we go to election, the same person that was agreed upon was going to win anyways. So we're fine.
In another 20 days, perhaps by this time, next 2 or 3 weeks, the party should have concluded the national convention.
And we are planning to have a policy convention. It's not just going to be an elective convention. We are amending the constitution of the party. We are going to set it out for people to see and look at and make observations or whatever it is. And then we are going to have a policy convention. It's going to be really interesting. We're going to have like 3 days of having people from different parts of the country have national podiums to talk about all the good things that the APC has done in different nooks and crannies and how we can forge it. It's going to be beautiful.
Ismail Ahmed is a national youth leader of the APC. Thank you so much, Ismail, for coming.
Thank you for having me, Sean.
Appreciate it. Well, that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. Sean Kimale. Bye for now.